Good morning. It's 10:01 a.m. on Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please rise, Commissioner Mueller will give our invocation.
Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to say thank you for the many blessings that we all have. I know we get discouraged and we get frustrated and we get whiny about this isn't going right and that isn't going right. But Lord, we appreciate so much that we live in the greatest nation in the world, the greatest nation in history, that we still have the freedoms to go about and do the things that we do, that we have expert medical care, we have plenty of food to eat, all those things that we take for granted that are not available to everybody else in the world. So thank you, Lord. Thank you for the blessings that you bestow upon us. Lord, we just ask that you'd reach your hand out and touch our county family. And you know their needs, and we would ask that you would help provide for that. Lord, we want to say a special thanks and ask for blessings for our military members serving locally and globally and protecting our freedoms, our first responders that rush in to help us when we need help. Lord, go with us today, guide us and direct us, and may the things that we do as this Commissioner's Court be happy in your sight. We ask these things in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please be seated. All right, I'm going to get a little out of order here in the presentations section and go to the presentation by the Sheriff's Office K-9 deputies about the recent national qualifications held in Wichita Falls. Who we have from the Sheriff's Office that's going to speak on that?
I got volunteered.
Okay.
I think I saw the high sheriff there. There
Yeah.
he is. There he is.
Yeah. I could have sat on my chair over there, but you know, it's just I have to get back in the alley and watch the doors. So what we've had in this last week and a half, which was a lot of input to be able to get this thing going, is our nationals and state dog trials. The dogs weren't on trial for anything that's wrong, but it's for them to get their training and get their certifications on both levels. And we were asked last year, and Lieutenant Jeff Penny was going to talk a little more about if we were interested in being able to holding this event here. And Jeff brought it to me, and I thought, shoot, yeah, this thing's pretty big. It's got people all over the country coming here. And so obviously it helps the economy of Wichita Falls. And for about a week and a half, I think everybody was here.
We had things going basically from Saturday all the way through Friday.
I'm gonna let Jeff kind of give you all the details of the meat of the thing, how it really worked. And we got to meet, I got to meet, and these guys worked with them on their training, but I get to meet officers from other agencies all over across America, especially the New York City guys, and those guys were great. We had a great visit with a bunch of those guys, and I can't tell you how many of the ones I talked to said, we're looking about moving down to the south, coming back to Texas sounds a pretty good place to us. And I have to ask all of them, I asked them, I said, now do you live in one of them 45-story condo things that's got like 200 square foot to live in, or do you live in, and they were like, no, we live in Long Island, it's a suburbs. We actually got a house in a small backyard. So I'm thinking how blessed we are in Texas, especially us that live in the country that have the acreage we have, and we've been very blessed to be able to have where we live at. Anyway, Jeff, let you tell me more about what's going on.
So the United States Police Canine Association, we're part of. Each year we do a regional certification for the dogs. It shows that they can locate narcotics and that they're basically signed off on from an outside, just an outside source. So we were up to host the regional event, and then we got kind of talked in and pushed to host the national event. Hadn't been in Texas in several years. We had over 80 dog teams that came in, 60 narcotic and over 20 explosive. Again, teams from New York MTA. We had a couple of the CIA, FBI, The teams just kind of started flowing in from everywhere. I have to say thanks to WFISD staff. We utilized Ryder High School for some of the rooms. The staff there was really great for us. The Delta Hotel was nice enough to let everybody come in and have 80 plus dogs and things there. So the event staff was really nice there. And then of course we utilized the Ag Barn for vehicle searches and some other things. So we had a lot going on. Saturday was a full day of regional trials for narcotics to get all of our people in our region and to be able to do the national trials. And we, as a region, we did really well at nationals. Lots of trophies came back to just a lot of teams in our region. We also had 2 of our handlers won top team, was it top region team? So out of all the region teams that were able to pair up through all the competitors, Corporal Dan Jacobson and Deputy Amanda Ward took first place team overall, I think with a score of like 199. 199 out of 200.
Wow.
Was a possible score. So their dogs, Dino and Jinx, had really good runs. We're really proud of them. All the county units, all the county canines certified nationally. So nobody missed. I don't think we missed. Didn't have one team miss any of the hides out of the 4 that were put in there. So we Amanda also got first place overall. So her and K9 Dino won first place overall out of all 60 teams out of the nation. So
Wow.
that attended the event. So they had a very, very good week and did a lot of good work for it. So
That's awesome.
That's
Congratulations. Place on the. And then, Deputy Wally's and his canine Canelo were top 6. The Nationals will give out the top 15 teams for narcotics, and Deputy Wally and Canelo got 6th place overall, which out of 60 dogs, and with the caliber of dogs that were there, the fact that our guys were able to bring that back and win those awards is pretty good. So they always talk about how tough nationals are, and this group went through it and knocked it out. It seemed pretty easy for us, just kind of another day of training, basically. So, And exposure, good exposure for our town, our area, our county. Excellent work by our deputies, and what a win-win event. Thank y'all for working so hard to bring that here. And
Can we get a picture of all of y'all grouped up together?
absolutely.
Jake, bring the kids.
Can we bring them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jake brought his pups.
And through of course, we had the national, which is the biggest event of it, but regionally, we also had the unit as a group brought home several more regional trophies out of that too.
Where we go?
Dave, get up here. Get in the picture.
Sheriff.
Come here, see the little ones. Right here.
We haven't got any trained cats yet. If we did, we know one guy on this team's got a dog that will chase it.
I know the chief deputy's office that he's gonna go in.
Thank you.
One of the dogs I want to talk about just for a second is Tim Pudge's dog. We got that dog, his dog Toby, and Toby he's not like a mean looking dog, or he's just like a hound dog, it looks like, and acts like a hound dog sometimes. But he is he's trained in obviously narcotics and tobacco, and then SIM cards and things to deal with computers, hard drives, these type of things. Tim gets a lot of calls from other agencies for assistance on child pornography cases. You imagine going into some house in a certain area in our city, 2-story houses, 3-story houses, that's something hidden, and Toby will find it. And when we first got Toby, we were still downtown the old jail kitchen. Tim was working a case of somebody was smuggling drugs in, and one of the Airmark employees was bringing it in to get it to the inmate trustees who got it out of their tanks. And this particular item was not only narcotics and tobacco, but it was also a cell phone. And Tim deployed his dog into the kitchen and went to the freezer, the big walk-in freezer we had. And so Toby doesn't scratch and bite and mark and wag his tail certain ways to let you know what happens. There's a certain way that the sign that the handler knows are over here. So they had to open the door up and pull some of the racks out, because Toby kept trying to get to the back. In the far back corner, tell me if I'm wrong, where it was at, far back corner, the highest part of the shelf, wrapped up in cellophane, big bundle of cellophane, was a cell phone at the very top. Toby kind of sat there like, "Stuff there."
Wow.
And for a dog to go through all that food and all the frozen and all this stuff, it's right here. That's how these dogs are so wonderful as a tool. And so, and I'm very happy to see that, all the research I could find out that I was the first sheriff to go with the green dogs, canine into the county, which to me, we started out with one, we got two, and we had 5 at one point, now we're 4, I think we're still looking at maybe getting another one. And the best thing about it is, none of our dogs were bought with taxpayer money, not 1 cent. It's either all through donations, and all these handlers will tell you. Now, Wally's dog, his dog was already with him whenever he came here from Jack County. So he wanted to come up here and live on the highway with the criminal addiction unit, so they do a great job out there. But being able to use these dogs and raise money is every time all these officers back here, deputies, who want to become a canine, I tell them to start raising money for it. Because if they're out raising money themselves, that tells me they're on a drive that they really want to do this. Instead of somebody saying, "Sorry, give it to them," then they decide, "Oh, no, I don't like this type of dog," you know. Now there are challenges with these dogs, and particularly with Jeff. Jeff is a big chew toy apparently, because he had an issue with the dog. More than one occasion.
3 times.
3 times, yeah. So that dog is no longer with us, by the way. We had to get rid of that dog because it was he had a glitch or something like that. He wouldn't growl. He wouldn't growl or bark. That was scared. But, and he's a beast too. So, Jeff was able to get through all that, got a new dog. All of them great. Once again, thank y'all for the court for y'all support we've always had for the sheriff's office, every endeavor we needed or things we needed in this canine program. It's just been phenomenal things they do with the drugs we get off the street, especially nowadays in dangerous times, fentanyl. It's really scary now. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Way to go.
Yeah. Y'all thank you, Rick.
All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Beth Maywald to come up, and she's going to give a presentation on the work that the Early Childhood Coalition of Greater Wichita County does for our community. Ms.
I'm not
Maywald?
sure if I can follow.
Yeah,
the
that's
dogs.
tough.
I'm not sure.
Kids and dogs, they go
Kids
together.
and dogs, we all go together, you're right. Thank y'all so much for giving me the time to do this, inviting me to do this, Mark. I made a PowerPoint, and I did that more to keep me off rabbit trails than anything, because I used to teach little kids, and I can stand up here all day, and y'all don't want me here all day. So, but I do appreciate very much being here. I want to tell you very briefly just a little bit about me. I am a past educator. I retired from WFISD after 30 years of service there, and I ended my service there. Well, let me just step back. My mother graduated in the first class of writer, and my dad at Old High. And so my family's from this town. I was not raised here, but I've been here 37 years now. I was born here, left, and came back. And my heart is in this community. And our community is full of fabulous organizations. And I'm going to tell you about some of those today. But the reason I want you to know about my education background is because before I retired, I was the early childhood coordinator. And one of my jobs was to help with placement of pre-K kiddos. Don't know how much you know about that, but I will tell you very briefly, they have to qualify to go to pre-K. And those qualifications fall very much in line with receiving SNAP, receiving those type of benefits. The worst thing I think I've ever had to do is tell a parent who made $10 too much money that their baby doesn't deserve to come to school, because every kid should be in school. And so in the work I did, as the last years, started getting a lot of phone calls from teachers and principals and those kind of things about, and this one they probably can back me on this. You know, we have a 5-year-old that's under the table that won't come out. We have a 3-year-old throwing chairs. We have lots of littles experiencing behaviors that we are not equipped to deal with. And so that kind of set my venture. I began volunteering at the United Way and trying to learn more about what was going on. So with that, I want to start with United Way because that is our backbone organization for our coalition. And I will tell you what you mainly hear about the United Way is typically when we're looking for funding, when we're out there saying, please give the United Way. And when that happens, 100% of that money goes to a funded partner, a Boys and Girls Club, the kitchen. We have 19 different funded partners. I want you to know that the United Way has more than that. We have grant programs there. We have 6 of them now. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I want you to know that that's where we stem from. We are part of what's called the Texas Home Visiting Grant. That grant is specified education and specified for early childhood. And so we came from that. Our history is that we began in 2012. At that time, it's when we actually received grant funding to put in our Parents as Teachers program, our Nurse Family Partnership program, and our HIPPY program, which are all home visiting programs working with young children and their families. Part of the requirement of that grant was that we belonged to a coalition. At this point in time, I didn't work here, but I was a volunteer. And so I got to be part of, the United Way said, why go look for a coalition to belong to if we can create what we need? And so that's how it was born. Brought in lots of organizations and put it together. In 2015, we were the very first place in Texas to administer in our kindergarten classrooms in the entire county something called the Early Development Instrument. This is an old flyer, but I did give it to you because I want you to see where this came from. It asks questions pertaining to 5 different domains, and those domains are physical health and well-being, social competence, emotional maturity, language and cognitive skills, and communication skills and general knowledge. What we found from that was that we have a lot of vulnerabilities. This shows you, I'm not gonna go through every one of them, but this will show you kind of where that came. Now these are the kiddos that are now in our high schools. So that's how long ago it's been. They're getting ready to enter our high schools. And so you can see that 22% of our kids were at risk in physical health and well-being, 22 in social competence, 29 in emotional maturity, and so forth. So this is one of the places we found our work. What can we do to help this group of kiddos? So that's where we started out. That's what we were working on. And so we moved on a little bit, and a member of our coalition went to a conference, and she came back and she said, oh guys, you're not gonna believe this. I saw this documentary. It's called Resilience, the Biology of Stress and the Science of Hope. She said, y'all have to watch this documentary. I think this is at the root of our issues. And we did, and we hopped immediately on board with trying to create an awareness in our community of adverse childhood experiences. Because adverse childhood experiences are trauma that children have undergone, and they can become toxic. If they don't have the support they need and the help they need, they become toxic. You have a little book. I know I'm going to become known as the junk lady because I always bring y'all junk, but I'll try to bring you some stuff to look at too. So you have a little book about ACEs here. It talks about the things that are deemed ACEs, and this is the bulk of our work. that we'll talk about. But we started that in 16, 17. We had a huge community event where we brought in Laura Porter, who is a consultant of ours now, who is from Washington and was really big in the ACEs movement there. And we brought people together, organizations together, and we worked to see what can we do to help in our community there. We were just getting the ball rolling really, really well, and like everybody else, we had to go through COVID. COVID kind of set us back just a little bit, but we came back out of it, and when we came out of it, we did some revamping. And the reason that we did the revamping was because one day I was sitting and I was talking with our results-based accountability consultant, and I said, you know, I just realized we're running 17 different committees in our community. And each committee has a mission, and they're all working, and they're all doing great things, but we're beginning to cross over. We're beginning to kind of merge into different things. So he and I sat down, and when we were finished, we moved that from 17 committees to 5 collaborative teams is what we work with now. So we now have teams working in education, family, health, motherhood, and community. And I always tell everyone the reason that we keep family and motherhood separate is because our family committee really focuses on family as a whole in a lot of varieties of situations. Families that are in need and need resources, families that are maybe kinship situations where they have custody of children that are not actually their own children, foster families, lots of different situations in that one. Our motherhood team works very specifically with trying to help young mothers and making sure they have the resources and the things that they need as well. So we'll talk more about each one of those as we get into there. We currently have about 42 organizations that are a part of the coalition. They come from all aspects. In 2012, when this was started, the criteria was you had to be serving early childhood to be a part. When we did our adjusting, our coalition is open to anyone because we know that to help children, we have to help their families. And so we have the food bank, we have the adult literacy council, we have the school districts, we have child cares, we have community health care center, the public health district, we have community government folks. We have anybody we can get because we all need to work together to help our families.
Are Mara Group and Superior the managed care organizations that handle Medicaid here?
Yes, they are, and one of them has changed their name to WellPoint now, and I mean it's America Group has changed to WellPoint. We also have a couple of others that they don't have reps in our counties. Their reps are in Abilene, and they have started Zooming in with us. And so that's been a really good thing for us because then they come to our community events and they bring more services. So what we have found is we have a lot of families out there that are just surviving. And so our goal is to help fill gaps in our systems because we want families to thrive. We don't want them just to survive. And so our mission is that every family can contribute to our community. They all have unique gifts. They all have something to give, and we want them to be a part. We have a lot of goals. These are just some condensed things. Our major work is all rooted in adverse childhood experiences and trying to bring an awareness of that to our community. We want to find ways to help prevent ACEs if we can and help people overcome them. We do a lot of community needs projects around town. A lot of times that's based on request of someone or it's based on data that we've looked at. And we are working towards hopefully someday having a big community plan around our ACEs. We use a lot of data. If you're interested in data, there are some really good places to get data about our county and about our city that they give us our true data, but they also do a lot of comparisons so we can compare to other areas similar to ourselves or different from ourselves. We pull a lot of information from the Kids Count data from the Annie E. Casey Foundation. We use the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. That third one there is a maltreatment map. Those are really neat. Those were recreated by the University of Texas at the request of the Department of Family and Protective Services. And we get a lot of valuable information from that as well. And of course, I talked about the early development instrument. I'm not going to go into a lot of data, but while I started out and I said my heart's in this community, we have things happening in our community. We have data that shows things in our community that's very alarming, that we want to work on. We have one of the highest teen pregnancy rates anywhere. And we recently had an 11-year-old give birth in one of our programs. We have, yes, we have, and I'm about early childhood, but that is a hard thing. We need foster homes in our community. We have way too many kids that are being placed outside of Wichita Falls because there's not places for them. We have data that shows a lot of areas that are all tied directly back to our ACEs that we're working on. And this presentation wasn't about the data, so I didn't include the data, but I'm happy to share data anytime. But these are great places for y'all to look if you're interested in looking at data. Everything we do is based somewhere in data that we have found a need. This is something called Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. This does come directly from United Way Worldwide, but I put this slide in here just as a little reminder that we spend a lot of time and effort trying to help those that are living in poverty, that are helping those that are below the line. But we have a very large population in our county of folks that are just like that when I talked about couldn't come to pre-K because they made $10 too much. We have a very large population that they're out there working, but they make just a little bit too much to qualify for any kind of help, any kind of aid. And so we are really trying to make an effort to target this population with making sure they have resources and making sure they know how to get and where to go and what to do when they have situations where they need help. So a little bit about our work. Our overall work, as I said, is adverse childhood experiences, and some of the things that we do for that. We do still show that documentary. It is 9 years old, and a lot has changed. They've added more things for us to think about. COVID itself has become an ACEs. And so, but we like to get out into the community and we share that documentary and we talk to people about what this means and what can we do to help.
If you haven't seen it, you really need to watch it.
Yes.
It's eye-opening.
And I can even send y'all the link to it. We own it now. We own the license to it, and I can send you a link if anybody would like me to do that. I can send it to Mark, and I'm happy to do showings of it anywhere, anytime, but I also can send it that way for you guys to see. I do a lot of presentations in our high schools. MSU, I do all the early childhood classes at MSU. Those guys that are getting ready to enter education, we do a lot with them. I do a lot of presentations and organizations. And when we talk about presentations, we do everything from brain development, because quite honestly, ACEs stems from those little kids from the age of 0 to age 7 is when their brain is developing. And when their brain is developing, if they're experiencing trauma, if they're experiencing toxic stress during those years, or they are lacking in the experiences that they need, that is when their brain, their neurons in their brain start developing a pathway that causes them to have some of the issues of the behavior issues and some other things. So there is a true science behind it. I'm not a doctor, but I definitely truly believe in that early childhood, how important that development is. One of the things that we promote and we do, and I gave you a little bookmark, is something called Bright by Text. Bright by Text is provided for us by the Department of Family and Protective Services, but it sends out to parents milestone messages that help parents know, what should my baby be doing when they're 6 months old? What should they be doing when they're 2 years old? Okay, they're not quite there developmentally. Here's a whole bunch of things you as a parent or caretaker can do to help your child develop during that time frame. So that is a preventative thing that we use, that we send out. We currently have about 750-something families in it and about 900 children in it. We are promoting that constantly because we have a lot of growth we can make in that area. Also, we like to offer any kind of trainings we can. I've done trainings in some of the child cares. Anything we can do to share that brain development, those developmental milestones, protective factors, and helping them get those children through those first year. And knowing that just one caring, nurturing adult can help those kids overcome those circumstances. So that's kind of what we do with our ACEs work. That Party for Prevention, you guys have seen me here before with the CAP committee, because Party for Prevention is something we do during Child Abuse Prevention Month, and during that time where we all come together and have games for families and provide lots of resources, and that's one of our big events. Before I move on from ACEs, this is just a really neat little graphic that kind of talks about adversity, because adversity comes in a lot of different ways. We tend to look at it individually by families. That's the tree. When we're talking about households, we look at abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction, because that's kind of where the ACEs show. But it's more than that. If you look at the roots, that's our community. That's things like the qualities of our schools, poverty, substandard water, which I'm not saying we have that, but those types of environmental things can fall into that. Things like generational trauma, those type of deals. So community, that's where we try to do a lot of our work, is where we can reach those in the community. And then they've added, since COVID, they've added the environmental factor. Kiddos that have been through natural disasters, kiddos that have been through the pandemic. The pandemic did some really big damage to our kids, you know, to all of us, really. We had to be secluded a long time, those kind of things. So this is kind of the picture of the root of our work. And then I'll tell you just a little bit about each committee, and I'm going to try to get out of your hair quickly. Our education team, this is a bunch of busy people. You may have seen Little Free Libraries around the community. We place Little Free Libraries. We do our best to maintain them. We do fight a lot of vandalism. But the Little Free Libraries are placed out there so that anyone has access to books. And so this summer, we have a little contest happening where there are some special golden tickets placed around in some of our Little Free Libraries, and we've already had some kids find them, and they were so excited. Got to come in and get a treat.
Did they get into a chocolate factory?
No. Well, I wish we could figure out how to do that. It was pretty funny, though. The first little brother and sister that found one, they got to pick. They came down to the United Way, and we have purchased gift cards. And so it was between Taco Bell and Dairy Queen. And I had to, we listened to the brother negotiate with the little sister to get Dairy Queen, because he knew he could get an ice cream at Dairy Queen, It was fun. But we have a lot of work to do in the area of Little Free Libraries, because, as I said, we fight a lot of vandalism. But we do place those out there. We have moved to putting them on all the school campuses, which some people are like, well, they have a library, and they do have a library. But these are meant for the community around the school when they can't get into a library. This committee also works with the program Reach Out and Read, which is at the Community Healthcare Center, and they donate books to them to keep that program going. Do a lot of summer pop-up events, and right now they've undertaken a really big thing. I'm really super proud of them. because they're working to bring a Texas chapter of NACE. And NACE is the National Association for the Education of the Young Children. It's a great organization. It provides a lot of good training for child cares and teachers and those kind of things. And so they're working on that right now. Our family team is responsible for building and maintaining our resource flyer. You have one of those. You also have a magnet. This is something that we give out at all events, and it gives people a place to start. If they need help with something, they have a place to start. So they're responsible for that. They're currently working to get it in Spanish and get it in a digital version. And they're also working right now on ways that they can help kinship caregivers, or doesn't have to be a kinship caregiver, alternative caregivers for children. And so those are some of their projects. The health team is all about health. They're about both physical and mental health. They've done a lot they've provided mental health first aid classes in the past. They've purchased, used they get, every once in a while we get a little bit of grant money, and each team gets just a little bit of it. And they've used their money to purchase the mental health first aid books so that our partners at Helen Fairby could offer those mental health first aid classes to organizations that need them. They also are currently working bike safety through the public health district, and so they've been working on that. And they also provide a guide called Stressed, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it's out in a lot of different places, and it is very specific to mental health assistance. And so it helps give people resources on how they can get some mental health help for themselves or their children. Our motherhood team, they do an outstanding job with the Babysitting Academy. The Babysitting Academy stems from some things we've had happen in our community in the past where, I'm sure you guys are aware, there is not a state law that sets an age that a child is okay to stay home by themselves. And so we have found in several circumstances that to be quite an issue when children are being left alone at home, because parents are having to choose between putting food on the table and staying home with their kids, because they either cannot afford the child care or more likely cannot get child care during the hours they need them. Most of our child care centers, fantastic centers. I have 5 grandchildren that I have temporary custody of that I have in outstanding child care. They've helped me tremendously. So nothing negative about our child care, but a lot of our families are not traditional professional work schedules. So they're working nights, they're working weekends, and we don't have much child care available, particularly affordable child care available during those times. So what happens with those kiddos is they're either left with grandma or the neighbor or whatever the circumstance may be. A lot of times we have a young sibling taking care of several younger siblings. And we've had several instances that we know of where that's happened, where we have a 5 or 6 year old left at home with a baby or things like that. And those are things we don't want to hear, and we don't want to believe that they're happening, but they are. And so one of the things that this committee has really worked hard on is offering a babysitting academy aimed at getting some of our middle school and high school age children through a little academy. They get CPR certified. They receive information about how to work with kids. They get information about what do I do in an emergency. And so those are things that this committee has done really well with.
That's a lot of great information. I'm going to have to ask that you.
Okay, yes, let's wrap it up. I told you I'd get on a rabbit trail. Community, we work on that party prevention, and they keep our events going. And so we track all this in something called results-based accountability, and therefore we have performance measures and goals that we all follow, and that really is the bulk of the work that we're doing. We always appreciate your support, And we are always here. If you have needs or you have something that you would like us to take on, please let us know.
Any questions?
Thank you for all the
Great.
work
Yeah.
that y'all
No.
do. and
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
information.
Well, I apologize for being windy. That's why I had a PowerPoint, because there's so much to talk about.
People are passionate about what they do,
They're-
like to educate people about what they do, so.
It's
Well-
so important to take care of the ACEs when the children are young. If not, we're going to see them in our facility at some point.
That's exactly
That's-
right.
That's one of the big goals, is to prevent all of that in the first place, so our
Yes.
children aren't having to deal with that.
It is. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, it is 10:42. We open up this time for public comments. As a reminder, we ask that anyone with public comment keep the comments limited to 5 minutes or less. Commissioners Court cannot take action on any item brought up during public comments. Do we have anyone that would like to make public comment this morning? Okay. Nobody. All right, it's still 10:42. Public comment is closed. So we will move on to the consent agenda. Everyone's got the list of 11 items that are in the consent agenda. I do need to talk about one of those items. Number 7, which is the motion to authorize the county judge to sign an interlocal cooperation agreement with Baylor County on housing inmates. In your backup information, it has the wrong amount in there for the per diem rate. It has it at $56 a day. This one's actually gonna be the same as the recent one we did for Wilbarger, which is $65 a day. I've already talked with Chief Rutledge. We're gonna make that change to it. He's gonna talk to Sheriff out in Baylor County, and their Commissioners Court will need to adopt the new one. But we're trying to get them all standardized, and as we discussed at Wilbarger County one last September, 56 just wasn't covering it anymore. So we'll be making that change to it. I don't think it affects the motion or the item as it's listed here, but just letting y'all know that, unless there's objection to that. Yeah.
And do we feel, Jim, that's our most current pricing?
That's what we did last summer. The sheriff's office looked at it and felt that did make it worth our while to take inmates from outside entities at that price. Is that right, Chief?
Correct. And Baylor County does not have a jail, so they have to house.
Where have they been doing, Will?
Been doing business with Jack County, but they prefer to come here.
I see. Judge, item number 5 is just a typo correction. It's a 2005 Chevy and a 2012 Ford.
On number 6, is that a insurance reimbursement? What is the, on the 5,000?
So that's in the water event with last March. Court Administrator's Office, 2 of their offices had pretty much all of their furniture
Did you see that?
damaged by water. And so this would be to replace 2 offices worth of furniture. So the loss of that furniture was covered by insurance in the original loss. This is us paying for it, but as part of that pot of money that we received.
And that is for 2 offices?
It's for 2 offices.
Okay.
And we did receive payment from TAC
Mhm.
for the total amount that they had agreed to.
Mhm. Yeah, just shy of $1 million, I think, is the last number.
Question for Matt. I may have missed it. I was looking in the backup document. What's the warranty on this furniture?
Warranty is 5-year standard with 2 years for moving parts. So drawers.
So it's not the standard stuff that we normally get that has
No, it's
pretty
not.
much a lifetime.
No, this is China made. We were asked to bring down the quality to accommodate for cheaper pricing.
It's good quality furniture.
It's still good.
It's just not the top level, but it also meant a reduction in price.
Price, yeah.
That's about third of what the original
Correct.
quote would have came in. And Tana and our purchasing department did go out and get multiple quotes from multiple entities for same level furniture to try to give a good comparison, and this one was the best value.
A lot of times we get lifetime warranties, but we don't know whose lifetime. That's-
Well,
Yeah, that's,
they've been really good at warranting all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Everything that we're sitting on now, we've had breakdowns in cylinders and chairs and everything else, and it's always been 100% covered, so
that's important.
that's, yeah,
Which I appreciate you
Yeah.
saying that.
okay.
We have had good service.
No,
I'll agree with
outstanding, yeah, I kind of hesitate us going away from the lifetime warranty stuff, because we abuse furniture pretty good around here, so.
Well, and I've had that discussion. I think that and obviously the lifetime warranty that COI does they've always been outstanding on service of that. The warranty matters more really on chairs and items that are bearing a lot of weight, a lot of up and down. I think it's less,
No, I
Less
agree with
important on-
that, but, you know, this will be a good case study and see how long drawer pulls and everything else last on a China-made furniture versus the other stuff that we
Yeah.
generally buy.
I'm sure,
Okay.
and court administrator's office loves being guinea pigs for things, so.
Yeah.
With those changes, motion to approve.
Second.
Well, that was at the same time. We're gonna go seniority and let Barry.
All right.
See,
I did have one question here on item 11. I didn't see where Fleet Enterprise, I didn't understand where we worked on this unit at.
Gene worked on it Lipscomb, but because it was over 5,000, bring to y'all, but Enterprise said if this would have been their vehicle, they would have not fixed it. It's mileage in the year, but we don't have a choice. This vehicle also is gonna need the transmission. It's 2019, and we had another 2019 yesterday, transmission go out. So, but we're getting our transmission work done at Reed's.
So Enterprise paid Lipscomb, and then we're paying Enterprise back.
Yeah, I think that's how it's working now.
Did wanna say one other thing on Commissioner Watts on number 5 on the precinct 4. So is this gonna be Purple Wave?
Purple
items?
Wave. Mhm. That's next week.
Okay. All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Kincannon, seconded by Commissioner Muller to approve the consent agenda as amended. Do we have any other questions or comments on the motion or the items on the consent agenda? All right, motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, general business item number 1, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve and ratify the minutes of the June 11th, 2024 regular session and the June 14, 2024 special session.
motion approved.
Second.
We had a motion by Commissioner Muller, seconded by Commissioner Kincannon to approve and ratify. Have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
And I didn't see any reimbursement.
Item number 2, review and approve the regular bills for payment, verify payroll taxes have been filed, and order county treasurer to disperse payroll and/or bills within 72 hours by U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the treasurer's office.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Kincannon to approve, verify, and disperse. Are there any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve Tabar Williams, a student of Full Sail University in partnership with Sober Living, Inc., to film a scene on the courthouse steps. Mr. Williams, you want to come on up?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Commissioner's Court.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. If you'll just introduce yourself for the record and then tell us what you're asking to do.
My name is Tabara Williams, and I'm an author of No Rules, Blood on My Hands, which I have a copy of my book right here. And I've been attending Full Sail for the last year and a half. I have one more year left to finish school. And I'm kind of like ahead of my class right now because like we have a lot of projects that we have to fill. And I've been writing all my projects down as I go and trying to jump ahead, trying to get a head start. So as they come, all I got to do is just show my project. I already have all my business taken care of as far as like the legal part of getting the location signed and having everybody, like far as my resources behind me to say that this is okay, my actors to sign their approval to be filmed and things of that nature. So it come to my knowledge that I needed to borrow this location with this film, and I said, hey, I need to go ahead and get on this along with other films that I'm working on also, because I have another film called Crush, and it's about the fentanyl epidemic that's in the city. And you know, I'm trying to, once again, I'm just trying to get ahead of everybody who might try to get in Hollywood to film this film. So I want to begin by getting all my locations and getting you guys with me on board to, you know, try to get this film done so that, you know, anybody that tries to come along and try to say that they was the first ones that did it, that I want to be the first one to do it for my community, not only just for my community, but I want to show the cause and effect of what fentanyl has done to this community. I remember a couple of years ago that one of my friends had died of fentanyl. It was a tragedy to me. She left behind a 15-year-old kid. And, you know, and not only just that, like a couple months later, you know, a friend of mine, her son had died, you know, of the same thing. So, you know, I've always been inspired by this film. It was just about how would I do it? You know, I never had any of the film equipment to do it before now, but upon going to school, I've been awarded to have all the equipment to film, have all the film knowledge to film. I've been filming for like over 10 years, but it's always been like taking pictures or doing some like music videos and stuff like that. I retired from doing the music videos because I'd never seen anything profiting from it. And that's another reason why I decided to go to school. It's always been a dream of mine. I've done stand-up comedy. I've done, I used to rap. You know, it was something that was just a hobby of mine. And I found that was a waste of time once again. So, and you know, once again, I wanted to be an author. You know, I wrote this wonderful book right here, and you know, even though that, you know, it was just a dream of mine, I felt like that, you know, it wasn't my full purpose in life. You know, once my friend had died, her name was Jennifer Lawson. They gave me life. You know, it gave me a purpose. You know, and then, you know, reading about all the other stories that deal with fentanyl, kids dying from fentanyl. I have a 3-year-old and I have a 7-year-old. So, you know, I can just imagine if one of my kids grew up and got a hold of something like that, you know, how I would feel and how the other families already feel, you know. So I want to feel these stories that I'm writing about in my story crush with some of their stories, so that people that in our nation who is dealing with the same epidemic, regardless if it's a major city or a small town, that they need to be able to watch this film, and not only that, be able to get ahead of it for their family's sake, you know, and be a part of this community and fighting this fentanyl epidemic. And being that I had to deal with this, I teamed up with Sober Living, who has been very supportive of my ideas, and they give me the right to document some of the people that comes into Sober Living to help curb, you know, the fact that, you know, that they had drug addictions also. And I've had a couple of them, you know, impact families to where they said that, you know, they wanted their help and come to Sober Living. And I want to provide that for this county to be able to continue to provide my resource as a help to get my word out that, you know, fentanyl is bad, one pill will kill you. So I think the first step is, you know, with me doing my documentary for my school, I feel like that this film will kind of like help people come forward that wants to be in my film, you know, because I've been promoting about my film Crush, but people kind of like still scared about knowing how to act and, you know, where would I get the resources from, if this is going to be real or not. Well, this is my step right here, being able to talk to you guys and to get everyone's permission to, you know, just film just the outside of the steps of my actor, you know, just walking in, acting like he's walking in to be interrogated, you know, and then, you know, my interrogation starts with him, and in the film itself is about it's about a man who's been wrongfully accused of a murder that he didn't commit, and the detective who's interrogating him, he's so convinced that this guy had killed this lady, Lisa Mitchell, to later find out that he had a twin who had confessed and come forward to do it. So, you know, in my films in school, you know, none of my films can be violent or depict any, you know, drug use or anything like that. But with this one right here, I feel like that for my class, it would fit.
When will you do this on?
I was thinking maybe at night, a night scene. It's gonna probably be like one day. It's not gonna be like take the whole entire day, anything like that. I just want to have him walking up the steps with a handcuff, like he's getting ready to be interrogated, and that's gonna be the end of the scene. Is gonna cut to him walking into our own makeshift interrogation room, and that's where the story's gonna start.
Now, if you need a stunt man, we'd like to, Mickey Finn can.
Yeah, to fall
Well,
down the
there's
stairs
the-
or something.
There's the chairman of the Stuntmen Society right
He's
there.
been, I know, he's been snake bit, he's been shocked with the electric glove.
Yeah, you name it.
Yeah. He would be your guy.
So you are wanting to do just exterior?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I was looking at the location release form that's in there. May need to make some modifications to it.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty wide open release, and because of security concerns, both internally and externally.
Mm-hmm.
May make some changes to that and send it back to you, but,
We've done these before,
Yeah.
and anything to encourage someone to better themselves and better our community,
Yes, sir.
I'd make the motion to approve.
Second. And if you do, Rick, you may speak on when he's here, the ropes, he
Yeah.
may need to pull those back. They're just.
They're just magnets now.
yeah.
Magnets.
they're
Okay.
easy for that one.
Get that out.
And that
of the
way you can kind of tuck them up or however.
Yes, sir, and I'll replace them when finished. And the date that I was thinking about doing it was possibly like this Saturday. Trying to use like 3 weeks of my time on the weekends to finish the film so that I can try to move forward to present y'all with another location approval for Crush. So,
And I'll work with you to make sure we've got that, so security knows if they see, a bunch
yes,
of folks up here on Saturday, walking up the steps.
right. I appreciate
Well,
it.
good luck.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions, comments on?
Where's
this
Full
side?
Sail University?
It's in Florida,
Florida.
Winter-
Well, that sounds-
Winter
makes
Springs,
sense.
Florida.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mahler, that's where WWE NXT used to film their stuff.
Really?
Full Sail University. And the pro wrestling inserted into the Commissioner's Court. We've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Watts, to approve Mr. Williams to film the scene on the courthouse steps. Do we have any questions or comments for him or on the motion or the item? Okay, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Mr. Williams, commend you for vision trying to make the community a better place.
Thank you. And God bless each one of you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve one of 2 quotes for the purchase of an ice maker for the break room and tax office to be paid from Department 499, with lines determined by the county auditor. Tommy, did you want to make any comments, or just here to answer questions if we have them?
We just kind of aged out our other unit and sent it on to our grounds.
One
right?
thing I'd like to mention, Commissioners, that this ice maker falls within the scope of this project. As far as it being paid from our lines out of 499, I do have a little bit of an issue with that, but the fact that The other one that we did have, I mean, it's a purchase, but it's a replacement in the same sense of the word. The other one we had, I would probably tell you, I got here in 2013, and my staff says it was long before I got here. Ricky took it, gave it some TLC. I mean, it was a good machine, but nevertheless, Ricky and his staff now have the pleasure of having something. We got an outside yard crew now that we never had before, so I know Ricky's getting a lot of good use out of it. But as far as the purchase of it, I don't feel like it should come from our budget. We stepped up here a few months back and made some purchases out of our own budget on some items that we didn't have to. We were glad we could do it, not trying to hold anybody hostage with that fact, but nevertheless, I just had concerns with the fact that it might be paid from $4.99. So
I thought I had seen it in the plans.
It's called out in the plans, but owner purchase.
Oh,
So
okay.
it has been part of the project from day one. I don't see why it couldn't come out of permanent improvement. And just on the same note, this one was brought up earlier because it's a longer lead item, but we will be purchasing a range top and refrigerator also for that project at some point, so.
And it comes out of the project, right?
It's just all owner provided, but it's all called out as things in the project, so.
So it's gonna be paid for out of
Yeah,
permanent
it'd be
improvement.
paid for out of
Yeah.
permanent improvement, so, yeah, it would just, it should be good.
Well, I mean, that's what we do, sink and the hot water heater and all that anyway, right?
that's the only concern I had, Judge, Commissioners. Other than that, I appreciate y'all moving forward on this. Like I said, the other one is, ended up performing well for Ricky and his staff in county service, and I think Rick may have been the one that got the bids on this new one, so I'm gonna, that's my 2 cents worth this morning.
So there were two quotes. Wichita Restaurant Supply was $56.43, 98 cents. Wagner Restaurant Supply was $61.45 even.
Go with the cheaper of the two.
Okay. Is that a motion?
Yes, whichever one,
Second.
And was that to come out of permanent
permanent
improvement?
improvement, yes.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon to approve the Wichita Restaurant Supply quote for $5,643.98 for the purchase of an ice maker for the break room in the tax office to be paid from permanent improvement with lines determined by the county auditor. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item itself? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Tommy, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, discuss, consider, and/or take action to appoint members of the Commissioners Court to the County Investment Committee. This is a follow-up from discussion we had, I guess, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, on a Friday session, I believe. Commissioner Watts had expressed interest in rolling off of that committee and us appointing a new member to get acquainted with it. And Commissioner Fincannon went last week and attended the Investment Academy along with Commissioner Beecham.
Yay.
So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Fincannon to replace me on the investment committee.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We're gonna expect some
Sorry.
10% returns.
Sorry.
Step up,
It
Nikki.
is.
No.
It is just too much, especially, well, they meet annually and they have the investment course, but with the West Texas judges and commissioners stuff, it's just too much travel.
Yeah. All right, so we've got a motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, for Commissioner Watts to roll off of that committee and to appoint Commissioner Fincannon to the County Investment Committee in his place. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? Do we have any condolences we'd like to extend to Commissioner Fincannon?
Well, we tried to get him a stunt job.
Yeah, the stunt job sounded more fun.
I think that sounded more fun.
All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 6, discuss, consider, and/or take action to create a subdivision committee and to vote in the following members. Devin Smith of Corlett, Probst & Boyd, Blaine Boswell of Corlett, Probst & Boyd, Brad Lidikin of Proven Surveying, Andy Bowles of Bowles Construction, Tanner Waxman of Waxman Homes, Commissioner Jeff Watts, Commissioner Mickey Finn Cannon. And just as a reminder, this is the committee we're forming to look in detail at the subdivision regulations, propose modifications, new takeout stuff, and to bring a recommendation of subdivision regulations back to.
Did we
the court.
hear from Kerry?
We never did. Van reached out to him multiple times.
And just want to bring forward this to the people watching. More than anything, this is to bring public and local business input into making decisions for county government, and not just the county government making decisions to push out on the people.
I think it's a
People
good-
need to be involved in making these decisions, and this is the people in business that do this type of work, so that's what we're trying to do.
I think it's a good list. I'd make a motion to approve.
Second. As long as I don't have to be on it.
Good list.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Muller, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to create the subdivision committee and to add those members stated above to it. Are there any questions or comments on the motion or the item itself? All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 7, discuss, consider, and/or take action on the management and supervision of Precinct 5. Sort of misnomered. Let me just set this one up a little bit. I remember early last year coming on the court, we were in probably February or March. I think that Cheryl brought up that it might be worth considering for the court of whether or not we wanted to continue Precinct 5, just because of the accounting issues it presented and some other challenges. And then it's come up a few times since then, but we never really had a follow-up discussion that was just on Precinct 5. So that's why I wanted to put this on the agenda today. And honestly, if we're gonna make changes, now's the time to do it, because we're preparing the budget for 2025 right now.
And Jim, we spoke briefly last Friday, and we could envision some truck changes. Jack had spoke to me afterwards about investigating even pup trailers to go on our 15 yards to maybe reduce the trucks. I think we could certainly get there. It's the other stuff that we had a heartburn with, that we saw no way around. Our rock box, our oil distributor, our jointly shared, our saw arm now,
Our excavator.
our excavator, which is like the excavator is a prime example. Everybody just uses it as needed for a particular project.
Well, and let me, just so that the public knows, because we all know what Precinct 5 is. I got a text yesterday from someone in the media community who's like, what is this? So Precinct 5 was set up long ago as an entity to handle purchases and equipment that were
Joint
bigger
use.
than one precinct, that were joint, and that made sense to be paid for by multiple precincts and to be housed under that umbrella. So that's what Precinct 5
A lot
is.
of counties our size buy multiples, they buy 4 pieces of equipment, and we're trying to do it economically by buying one and sharing it.
That's right. Yeah, this is ultimately, it's an effort to try to keep costs
reduce-
down.
Yeah.
And so I wanted us to have the discussion of whether or not it made sense to keep going with Precinct 5. And if it still makes sense to do, how do we want to start having the precincts essentially renting or paying back Precinct 5 for the usage of that equipment, since it's not being used by everybody equally all at the
And
same
that's
time?
really not a bad.
I didn't think about, we took the funding away from Precinct 5.
So how do we, if we're going to keep going with Precinct 5, how do we want to do that in the budget?
And the reason, what he's getting at, and I'm on, like this year, only me and you are gonna use the rock box and the distributor. And if we have maintenance issues and we have the cost of that equipment,
I'm gonna be using it. What do you mean?
Well, I'm just saying, okay,
If
maybe
they
a bad
need-
example,
if
maybe if you
scenario.
don't do any. Jeff might do 20 miles, you might do 3.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Should we, I know when me and Jeff, we just rented a reclaimer and a water truck. And the way we did that was we split that bill up, not between the two of us equally, but by the two of us, how many days we used it. So I think that is something we are to look at as far as usage, because Jeff he's using precinct 5 dump trucks and I'm running my own dump trucks. But I'm still paying maintenance and truck equipment cost on dump trucks for precinct 5. So that's something, I mean, I think we need to look at across the board and how we do that, if we use a rock box or we go get an excavator, maybe the precinct that you're using it should, if you're gonna, depends on how we're gonna fund it. But if we're gonna fund precinct 5 by the use of the equipment, then we probably are to rent it from precinct 5 in some form or fashion.
Pay ourselves.
That sounds kind of tricky to do, but it might be the better way to do it.
Well, it's one of those deals, you wanna do it, but you need to keep it simple.
Needs to be
You don't
simple
wanna
and
get
it needs
down
to
in
be,
the
it
weeds
needs
on
to be cost effective, because
Yeah.
we don't wanna rent one from ourselves that we could go rent one at the case house for. You know what I'm saying? That's the benefit of owning it. So,
No, actually, the precincts, we prorated the distributor, isn't that correct? In this budget, in this current budget?
Well, no, we paid for that very last budget cycle. We all chipped in our 85,000
Right.
roughly apiece, and Cheryl took it from our budgets.
Okay.
There's
I was
half a
thinking that's
million,
right.
just over $500,000 left there, but we had not encumbered that money for that distributor when it showed up. So that was why we're still sitting on some funds in precinct 5, but we annually had always made a transfer of 100,000 apiece to precinct 5, and Cheryl had stopped that practice, thinking, we can play down or move away from. It's just that oil distributor and rock box being such a pertinent part of something that is gonna be,
Because it is a weird
hassle.
budgeting two-step for us of having to budget the money in precinct 5 if we're paying for it out of precinct 5, but then also budget y'all if you're gonna be paying into precinct 5 to include that as well. And we don't have to make final decisions today. This could be, again, a part of budget discussions when we do the road and bridge precincts, but we do need to
Did we
we need to
pull,
figure out what we're gonna do.
did we pull the funds out of precinct 5?
No, there's $500,000 sitting
but
there right
it's
now.
gotta go to.
No, it doesn't go anywhere. It can
doesn't have
actually
to go
fund this
anywhere.
endeavor.
Well, I was thinking,
It
so, if we not paid for the distributor?
Yes, we
We
have
had,
paid.
okay, that was, I was
we're
thinking
just-
we did.
We
but I didn't
paid
know.
for it independently from each
Yeah.
precinct
Right.
at the time, instead of pulling from the joint
Right.
account. And, I mean, we could easily make it, we don't have a budgeted, well, we do have 2 budgeted items that are coming out of this budget, which one's gonna be difficult to catch, but the upgrade of those 15 yards.
Right.
That'll happen this year. One will happen relatively soon, and the other one
On
way
a
into the
regular
end of the year.
rotation.
On a rotation.
Yeah.
Mm.
but that reclaimer was a prime example. Even on our rock boxes, because it's not uncommon for, I think Jeff, one year you did right at 20 miles and I did 20 miles and I think you were only at
10.
10.
Yeah.
So why is it fair to
Well,
you
now,
to pay?
we
Well, 'cause it
did
all
track
comes out
that
in the
though.
wash
We split
eventually.
that out when we did it that way too, on the reclaimer.
No, on the reclaimer, but I'm even talking as
No.
far as the distributor and the rock box.
I think it all comes out in the wash eventually. I mean, if
It's
we're
a-
all jointly owning a piece of equipment.
Well, that would be, then me and Jeff should have just split it and he spent, the way this last deal worked out is I think I was on the hook for 17,000, he was on the hook for 9
For the reclaimer?
in the water truck.
For the
and stuff.
reclaimer, but.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's-
you're gonna have the same
You're
thing.
going out, you're doing something outside of precinct 5, you're
Right.
renting a reclaimer for your precinct.
We still have to figure out a way to fund precinct
I
5.
don't know why we don't just split it 4 ways down the middle and just put a line like we always have.
You mean just pay it as it occurs, or pull it?
Budget for whatever the precinct 5 budget
We did
expense
budget,
is. and
we
then
all
split it
budgeted
4
this
ways.
last go-round, Judge,
We're making
for
it too complicated.
precinct 5. We did put money in there, and I don't know how that has pulled.
I looked at that in preparation for today.
It's all comes out of the road and bridge tax. It's the same tax. What difference does it make?
Well, and that's why we're having the discussion. If the way it has been working is the way that y'all like to continue it, then by all means, let's do it. We just had that had come up last year, and it had been kind of an ongoing in the back of my mind. We need to have that conversation and discussion.
Well, and I'm kinda like Mr. Beecham, I think it's different if you go outside and rent a machine
Yeah.
specifically for a job, which
But
is what that.
our jointly owned machine, I'm gonna probably use the skid steer more than y'all do, but y'all may use a rock box more than I do. It's all gonna come out in the wash.
See, and I don't even know if we need a skid steer in precinct 5, to tell you the truth. I think that's more of a precinct type
Well, and
thing.
Mark's
I'm fixing
addressing
to
that,
address
too.
that, cause we use them all the time. And I'm gonna-
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Are you gonna
next
purchase
year.
one?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I have my own.
Yeah.
It's just a handy tool.
Only reason that was bought in precinct 5 to begin with is because I didn't have any money because of the way that I was cheated out of my first year of money.
Oh, now.
No, we can go back and re-roll the tapes.
Well, and.
I had no
This
money.
is kind of a confusing discussion because we're trying to make 2 or 3 decisions here.
Yeah.
We're talking about our truck deal, what we're gonna do there, and I don't know that we've got all the information together, and so it would help if we had that. I mean, are we gonna haul rock or are we gonna hire it hauled?
So, Jeff, you and I mean, you've done a lot of number crunching on this. Does it make more sense to own versus lease out? And I know y'all had a little bit of that discussion on Friday.
And I think that, and Mark and Mickey both chipped in on this deal. There is a cost of doing business associated with us to some extent, and I discount that fact. I want to take it to zero, or I want to chisel it away, but
Right.
I mean, there is a benefit to being able to grab a belly dump and going when you have particular needs that otherwise we don't.
Yeah, I don't know if we wanna deal completely without one, maybe that's the deal, but do we need 4? You know, that's, I think, the question.
Well, if we're gonna work as a team, we need the 4, cause
We do.
when we
Yeah.
do haul, we haul a lot of tonnage into this
We
county.
do, there's no doubt, and we're gonna continue to, that's a program that's not gonna go away.
Not unless our
The rock keeps
Rock
getting.
keeps going
The
high
rock
enough that
keeps
we
getting
can't
further
afford to buy
away,
it.
but.
But, you know, there's,
Yeah.
it certainly, it wouldn't hurt us to subsidize it to some extent too, if we could get a jump on, some of that and move at different times when, contractor maybe could move and help reduce some of our, but it doesn't make our fixed costs go away.
Yeah.
They're there.
This is my ignorance asking this question. For the equipment that's housed under the Precinct 5 umbrella, do each of y'all house different pieces of that at your
It's
yards?
everywhere.
Okay, it's everywhere.
I've got a
Yeah.
couple of the trucks right now that are sitting just because that's where we
Yeah.
wound up.
That's the only change I see is whoever houses the piece of equipment should have the authority to sign off on the maintenance and repair and everything.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Which we pretty much do. I mean, that's,
I think at precinct 5, if anybody should be able to sign off on maintenance. I mean, if we gotta have, $20,000 maintenance, well, it's gotta come before the court, either way,
It
so.
needs to.
So that was gonna be my second question, is if, sounds like we wanna keep going forward with Precinct 5 as an ongoing way to do this. Cause right now, when an invoice comes in for Precinct 5 or a decision needs to be made on maintenance, or Commissioner Watts, do you
Yeah.
mostly handle that?
I do handle it, but I usually talk to everybody about what the issue or problem is. Most of it flows through Jack, as far as,
Just because most of the equipment's at precinct 4's yard anyway.
Okay.
And so the maintenance, oil changes, the greasing of the trailers, that's a big item on the belly dumps. They don't get that attention they need. And so we have to make sure that occurs. But all of that flows through, for the most part, Jack. So he'll book with Bruckner's and get something in, like you name it. So.
And it would make sense to me that from the standpoint of when invoices come in and have to be determined to be paid or not, that the commissioner who did the work on it would be the one approving. So right now, I mean, it makes sense in my head that any commissioner could approve with the auditor's office of signing off on that work happened and it's a legitimate expense.
The problem is like a lot of times, prime example of tire tickets. We pay $200 more to utilize Goodyear in town than what Jack utilizes. Those programs that we have in place are typically where most of the time it'll all be the same flow of work. You know, it'll go through Bruckner's or it'll go through, sometimes we don't have a choice on the tire issue, you know, it just depends who's available. What else, Jack? Do you?
If you're broke down on the side of the road, it's whoever you can get to come.
Yeah.
I don't, but if I have a choice over it, I'm gonna go with the guy up there, Electra, or over Goodyear.
Right. But like, you know, Jack pretty much keeps it, it's a good flow to have service when we do. The old distributor's a good example, the old distributor. Jack can coordinate with Klosner's, and Klosner's keep him posted of, you know, what their timeline is, the scheduling of coming and getting all that done. It just flows, it works best when it's, we let him coordinate what that effort is.
I would like to bring up one thing on that distributor. I think we ought to get Kloster to come and check that distributor itself out once a year. Because all of us that work here know a little bit about it, but none of us are really experts like them guys work on it. That's all they do is that kind of work. So if they could catch something that's coming up that would be a major catastrophe whenever we start trying to chip seal with it.
We need them to do it in the spring.
I think
We didn't do it this spring, but it was the first time we haven't done it. We've been spending some decent money having it gone through and worked, and it's more important than ever that it's up and going, but we didn't have it serviced the way we normally do.
I'm fixing to find out here next week, hopefully, how big a flood that was or not.
What kind of shape we're in.
But we had anticipated having our hands on the other unit, and that's why we held back. But I don't see any way that we're going to be able to turn loose of that piece of equipment as backup.
Better not.
I mean,
now.
no, I think it could be 2 years down the road or
Where would you be now if you went ahead and sold it last year?
Oh, my heavens.
You know, be out begging some contractor to come put that oil down.
Yeah.
Bucket
The
and a
busiest
mop.
time of year.
Bucket and a mop.
Yeah, bucket and mop. I got you a bucket and a mop, Mark, come right up.
Can we take the tax assessor collector in as a partner on precinct 5? Tommy, you want it?
All them Zoom.
Everybody?
Well, you know, and here's the deal, I've never been a commissioner and played one on TV. But Jeff, to y'all's point, wouldn't it be, I mean, I know you are trying to find a clean business model with precinct 5. Why not go ahead and try to fund it the way y'all funded it? Maybe not at that rate, but here's my deal from sitting out here, it sounds like y'all don't use zero-based budgeting for precinct operations anyway, so what's left in there is carried forward.
Right.
I mean, you're just trying to find a cleaner model, but I'm not trying to get into y'all's budgets as far as spending y'all's money, but I guess apparently one time y'all all contributed $100,000 apiece to put in
Right,
that.
up until about 3 years ago.
That's correct.
And I mean, that's just an observation.
It might be a little bit more of a accounting problem, but for us, it's better to have precinct 5. And it's better to do it the way we've been doing it.
Yeah.
And the auditor can take care of the audit.
And we can go.
With the exception
for
of all of us being able to
the
sign off
year
on it.
easily. It's just, and this year, we've got those expenditures, which we'll have good trade-ins for. And we'll have those 2 trucks to, one will happen now and one will happen at the end of the year. But next year, what dilemma that we're facing or gonna face is that we're going to age out our road tractors at some point in time. If we're gonna keep them current, we're gonna have to consider what to do, because, I mean, we're at the point of retiring everything here pretty quick.
Well, I think the challenge is we're having about 4 different discussions now. That gets to me, you know, we're trying to, yeah, and that, they're good discussions and they need to be
But
sorted through. But
I'm like Tommy, I mean, that was the cleanest way that we did do that. And it may not have to be near that level of contribution, and we could even true it up. But I guess knowing what we need to budget for.
Yeah.
But we did put back, everybody pretty much put back significant money in their budget this year for precinct 5, even though we had carryover.
And I haven't even looked at Road and Bridge submitted budgets, and we're having that discussion, I think, next Friday. But, yeah, the nuts and bolts on what's gonna be put in, we can have that, can figure that out.
But we could kind of look at what our expenditures have been, just typically across the board. Mostly gonna be Bruckner Mac for, you know, just the general maintenance. Unless something unforeseen comes out. Klostner's bill, you know, that's typically a $5,000 or $6,000 bill that we experience every year, cleaning that unit and putting actuators or getting those more. And Jack, we are setting on a few of those now. I guess you should.
We've got about 4 or 5 of them on the seat of the truck right now.
We set on a teeth for the reclaimer too. We're still in pretty good shape there. I don't know about zipper teeth. Does everybody have their own zipper teeth?
Yeah, everybody has their own, as far as I know. I think I've got 2 boxes of those zipper teeth.
Yeah. Far
They
as
should buy their
they're
own for
different
that.
size.
That's expendables.
Okay. Sounds like then that, broadly speaking, and there's no motion here, but broadly speaking, like it to continue in, from a funding model like it has been, and just, and each commissioner does have the ability to sign off on invoices.
That's the only thing we need to change.
Okay.
Yeah. And we probably need some direction from the auditor's office as to what kind of money we're talking about that would help us see that
Well,
amount of money.
That's the next part of the puzzle, is we work with the treasurer's office. How do we simplify this? How do we make it, you know, flow better and work better? Because we seem to be able to kind of get along okay. It's just,
Yeah, we need to have a projection of expenses
Yeah.
based on what we spent this year and what we're planning on doing next
But-
year,
but-
just like we do any other budget.
Right.
And then divide it by 4 and put it in each of our budgets. So.
but it is a little more difficult when the auditor's office, we deal with it every day, and
Right.
we're pretty familiar with it, and they get something in, and I can see where that would be a little bit confusing. Just kind of get it down to where you gotta, I think Tommy hit it right, find you a model that you wanna carry by, make it simple and carry
Right.
on, yeah.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to do anything, or
I don't,
other than to be able to sign off? Or we
the only
need
thing
that?
is just so that the auditor has clear
Okay.
instructions from the court on the invoices.
Well, I'll make the motion that all commissioners will be able to sign off on work tickets on precinct 5 equipment.
Second.
Okay.
And or bring it to court.
Yeah, if need be.
Yeah.
Well, within the,
If
Our
it's over,
current
if it's over
policy.
5,000, yeah, or per policy. Okay, so we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon, to instruct that all commissioners have the ability to sign off on invoices for Precinct 5 and bring them to court per the current policy,
Yeah.
depending on how much the cost is.
Yes, and just keep the workflow moving through Jack.
Okay.
That's what's difficult when it's not. When a truck shows up at Bruckner's for no reason, that's the difficulty.
As it is right now, the other foreman usually call me if they got something wrong with
Yeah, that's the good.
Yeah, and that way it keeps
That
it
way I-
unified and,
I can contact or tell them to go ahead, you know, but I know about it anyway.
right.
Okay. I don't know that we need to, I don't know that needs to be part of the motion, just standing instructions for all of your
Yeah.
guys to know that.
Yeah, and they know, and then it works
Okay.
well.
All right. So we've got, do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? Nancy, was that clear on the language for the, okay. All right, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Jack, thanks for coming. and-
Yeah, thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stick around if you like this riveting conversation.
Well, sir, I would, but I've had 4 phone calls.
Congratulations calls, I'm sure.
Had a boy, Jay.
Thank you.
Keep it coming.
All right, item number 8, discuss, consider, and/or take action on Commissioners Court Department liaisons. So I'm gonna say mea culpa on this one. We normally, at least from what I have been told, we normally take this up at the beginning of every year to see if there are any changes that need to happen, and I did not make that happen this year. So that's part of the reason that we're revisiting this today. And then as I was looking at it, I'm actually going to offer a couple of changes and some suggestions here. So if y'all will let me run through that, and then we'll have discussion and entertain other folks' ideas. So the first one, this list, the one we're still running on is from 2023, and it does not have the Elections Administrator Department on it. And so I'm going to suggest that we add Elections Administrator with Commissioner Watts as the primary commissioner and Commissioner Beecham as the alternate commissioner for that department. I am also going to suggest.
Are you, Judge, you are removed from, because of your involvement?
Well, from the standpoint of, I work with most of these departments anyway. I think that it's.
Yeah, I don't have a question with that. I just
Yeah.
didn't know whether you had to.
I'm still going to be involved with them whether I'm listed on
Right,
this or
okay.
not.
Most of the time when we have something going on, it's you, the liaison, and the
Right.
head of the deals.
Right. And I will ask this question since you brought that up. Do we, I have no care in this one way or the other. I'm not suggesting it's even a good idea. Do we want to have alternate commissioners listed in the liaison list? And I ask this because, and not just alternate commissioners, but alternates period, including myself. Of a potential quorum issue if the department head talks to both of the liaisons, and then because it's budget or whatever related, the conversation needs to happen.
Typically will come back to you. Now, Tommy's the most engaged one of all the departments because he
has good emails.
He does do good emails, and plus he's very informative, and there's things that come up from time to time, but he very much involves us. Now, I never thought about the concept you just mentioned, but
And the reason, and quite honestly, this is just a structure that loosely exists. If Tanya wants to notify you of something and not go to, she can, but from the standpoint of of conversations that happen from the elected official or the department head. It's just an idea I throw out there. It may be a bad idea, maybe
Well-
something to stew over.
We probably should do that, Judge. I never thought about the potential harmful cause of, but
But we've been listing the alternate, have we not?
No, we haven't.
we've been
Yes.
listing an alternate and
That,
The
no,
alternate
Typically-
generally doesn't get involved unless,
yeah.
Probably don't even need an alternate, truthfully.
Right.
It might be cleaner without.
I think that's true.
And I promise you, it's not just because I'm listed as the alternate on half of these. I'm trying to get rid of it.
Well, I think that it does, in the event that that would occur, which it is gonna occur,
it's
if we're
attached
not
to the
careful,
agenda.
because
On this
it
page?
just
Yeah.
happens.
Just-
Well, when you have a list printed out like that, it kind of leans, in that direction. And I
Well-
don't know that that's ever been abused, but it,
do we just automatically assume that Judge Johnson's the alternate? And
There you go,
there you
Mark.
go.
That's a backfire of it going.
By the
Yeah.
way, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And again, if,
then assign a primary commissioner as the other.
well, okay, so it sounds like y'all are good with just removing the alternate column and
I
that
think
altogether.
so. I
Okay.
think that, I never thought about that being the,
I mean,
Okay.
And a lot of times it's just who's available,
Yeah.
if you've got something
Yeah.
going on that,
And again, this is a loose document anyway, that if something came up and the primary commissioner or me is out for a week and people know that kind of thing.
right.
Do that.
that would just take you off the primary role of all of them and put a commissioner in the primary role, and then it
I
makes
think
sense.
that's
I'm good
be
with that,
smart,
yeah.
Judge.
Oh, I think we're to leave him on there. He's got a bunch.
Well, he's de facto
Yeah,
the
okay.
liaison because he's the county judge.
All right, so.
I'm willing to take the law library right now. I like Sherry. I've known her longer than anybody.
There we go. All right, so then we're gonna add the elections administrator. Commissioner Watts then is the primary. We don't need an alternate anymore. We're gonna remove the alternate column. Per Commissioner Beecham's deal, remove me from the primary role of the ones that I'm on there. There are a couple of exceptions, which I'll talk about in a second. Some of those outside entities that are at the bottom, their bylaws require the county judge to be
I think
on their
that's-
boards,
I think
but
that's good.
Yeah. Outside agencies are
Okay.
different.
do we, and this is just really an organizational, since we've got, with our county courts at law and our district courts, we've got big X's in there now anyway. Do we even need them on this
No.
sheet?
No.
Okay. Since we already took action on this earlier today on the investment committee, I think, so it's got Commissioner Watts listed as the primary here. I thought Commissioner Fincannon was on there, and I was gonna suggest,
Well,
since
that
he's
one
on the
needs to
investment.
have to be two. That has to be two. That,
Yeah,
the,
they're by,
Yeah, the investment committee
Yeah.
does, yeah. So, we've got, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. So we've got Commissioner Fincannon and Commissioner Beecham on there. Since Commissioner Fincannon is going on that, I was going to suggest that
No.
that's more than enough work for him to remove him from the county clerk, commissioner spot.
now, Judge, those are Mark, help me, those are assigned annual.
what's that?
What's the investment committee is a,
Yes.
We roll off, or have a potential to roll off annually.
Every year, yeah.
Or every other year. One-
it's alternate,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, one member can roll off annually.
Yeah.
Can or can stay?
You can stay, I mean, if no one wants
Yeah,
it.
so far, we've had it where they've been staying.
So this year, though, Fincannon would be the one, because Mark, you were last year.
I was
You-
supposed to be the first one to roll off.
Yeah, that was last year, and then this year
Would've been
would be
you rolling
Mickey,
off,
which would
so
be.
you're actually rolling off in
I'm
your
rolling
year.
off and Mickey's coming on.
Yeah. So for then, let's see, for the county clerk commissioner, I would suggest that Mickey go off of being that primary, and Commissioner Beecham, he's currently the alternate, slot in there. Let's see.
Law Enforcement Center.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we just remove that one completely since the building is done, and
Yeah, because if I'm not getting to go to the MAC meetings, I don't see any sense in me being on.
okay. So let's remove that, and then the other one I was going to suggest we remove, the LEPC is, we're gonna rely on our emergency management coordinator to be doing that one anyway. I don't know that it needs a listed liaisons out for, do you see a problem with that, Dwayne? Okay.
Judge, do we need to put the security committee on here since we have a standing security committee now?
Well, if we want this to be a record of all of the entities, because we'd also need to add subdivision, and anytime
Yeah.
something like that exists,
Yeah.
it's probably nice to have those all in one place, just so that everyone can see at a glance whose responsibilities are what. So I think so.
Okay.
So then I'm also gonna suggest, in addition to the elections admin, we add courthouse security committee. And even though it's a time limited one, the subdivision regulations committee. Okay. As far as outside entities go, these are the bodies that I have to stay on because of their bylaws. Nortex, the Bail Bond Board, SMAC, and I can't remember, Jeff, you may know, the MPO, is that a,
You are the pro tem.
okay, so then on MPO as well.
The problem with me remaining on
Oh,
NPO,
we've
which
got
I've always
three of
had a
us.
problem, is because Jeff's already on it for.
Oh yeah, he's an appointed,
And he's
He's on the
appointed,
board.
so I can never go to a MPO meeting, even though I used to be on MPO
Right.
to see.
I wonder if it would make
It's
sense
a,
to just remove,
just drop me.
oh, okay,
I mean, I can go and, if you're absent or whatever,
As proxy.
as a
Yeah.
proxy, but
okay,
that's the only time I've been able to go.
Yeah.
okay. Okay, that's all of the changes that I was gonna suggest per Commissioner Fincannon's recommendation earlier that I be removed from the primary spot for all of these. Do we just wanna move over the alternate in each of those over to become the primary?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one department that I would suggest is probably different on that front would be the auditor, where I would like to, I think I should stay in that role because of the budget.
I agree.
Okay.
Have at it.
So Commissioner Fincannon, or Commissioner Mahler will now be the primary for district clerk. Commissioner Fincannon for emergency management. Commissioner Beecham for the health district. Commissioner Watts for the law library. Sorry, Nikki.
I kinda wanted law library.
I think that's.
I'll trade you.
Let's see. CSCD would be Commissioner Watts. Probate auditor would be Commissioner Watts. See, I thought I was the one getting an odd deal, maybe you.
The probate is not ever very much.
No, it's not.
None of them are very much, to tell you the truth. I mean, they're just exception. The active ones, Tommy, Robin's active, you know, they just have, they run those things up the flagpole to see what you're thinking, they're thinking, so.
So let's do this then. I just, there are a lot of changes made that are not on paper for everyone to look at. I'm gonna read through those once again. Nancy, I'll ask you to redo the sheet, and then next week, Commissioners Court, we can actually have the sheet in place and we can vote
Approve
to
it. Can
to
we approve
approve
it
it.
next week? Yeah,
Yeah.
good, because I'm confused.
Yep, so let me recap what I've
Much
got.
better way to do it.
And then again, everyone will have a chance to see it on the paper. Remove the alternate column. Remove the county judge from primary, from all internal departments. Add elections administrator, courthouse security committee, subdivision regulations committee. And then remove the LEC, LEPC, and the 5 courts from the list entirely. Commissioner Beecham will now be the primary and county clerk. Commissioner Kincannon is on investment committee, and Commissioner Watt's spot there. Okay, I think that's it. Any questions, thoughts, comments, worries? Of course, we can also talk about it next week once we see it all on paper. Okay. Then I don't think we need to take any action. We'll save approval for it for next week. Thank you everyone for doing that. 7 months late. Sorry about that. All right, and then item number 9, receive update on courthouse renovations and county courthouse annexes.
I brought show and tell.
Show and tell.
So, you haven't seen this yet. This is the ceiling detail
My goodness.
for the 30th.
Yay!
Wow.
That's really neat.
So they will start this week on that, so,
Wow.
and this is
I like that
the likely stain color,
color.
so,
Is all that one color mark, is all?
yeah,
of it?
everything in there is one color, except this will stain a little different, it'll be a
Yeah.
little bit lighter because it's a composite material, which I think will actually look good, it'll be a slightly,
And so those are just cut pieces that are produced.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just crown mold and
yeah.
Trim
one
stock.
by.
That's neat.
So that's it. That's the overall look. We did have a very good meeting on Friday, going through final color selections. Said this is the assumed color. We're waiting on a larger sample before Judge McKnight makes the final decision. But we've chosen the carpet, the tile, etc. So
It really is coming along fast out there.
We're gonna be proud of that courtroom, I
Yeah.
tell you. That's neat. That's a neat deal.
yeah, they're putting on the baseboards. Most of everything is trimmed out from the lower section now. It's really gonna look sharp.
Does look good.
They'll be
Very
starting drywall in the offices next week. So,
Is Jeff's office working now good, his
Yeah.
space?
I haven't heard any complaints
Yeah,
lately.
I mean, it's not what it is going to be, obviously, but yeah, they're able to do everything they need to do, I think. I haven't heard otherwise.
Annex jobs continuing on really well, so making progress there. I don't know of anything major going on there other than what we've been doing, HVAC work, back on the restrooms again, so maybe those will get open soon, hopefully. General courthouse project, they should start painting the rec yard in the next couple of weeks. And that's about the last major thing to take place, other than the walls down in the old jail area, so.
And then the 4th floor flooring.
The 4-4 flooring, yeah. That's an add-on, so,
That's right.
the color's been approved. We're using the same wood look floor tile that we're using on the 5th floor, but we're doing a different color band around the outside edge, so. That's about all I have.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on this item?
I had a quick comment about the courthouse. I had some calls about brown water that we get periodically.
Okay.
So I called the city and they came out and flushed the lines. Basically, they just opened up fire hydrants around the courthouse. Lots of brown water came out. them for probably 15 or 20 minutes. And I was checking some today, and we still got some brown water, so it settles in spots, and it'll lay in low areas, it'll just kind of lay there, and then eventually it'll clear out until the next wave from another repair or something else happens. So, you know, it could be something that's gone in a day, or it could be another month. So, just kind of an informative thing. It just, I flushed all the water heaters, all that stuff, so we're not storing any there, so it's just somewhere, but who knows?
That brings up a question. So we were sized for a lot larger water load than we're currently utilizing. Do we need to look at metering and valves to be different coming into the building because of that? Could that be leading to some of the problem, that we're not flowing as much water through the system as we once were?
Well, I mean, everything that we had as far as supplying the building, we have pressure reducing valves for all those areas. So everything being served is either it's being served or, you know, or it's just like it was.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed as far as what we got coming to the building. We're gonna use what we use.
Yeah, I know.
Period. So.
I was just
Yeah.
asking.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that would, actually, I don't even know if the only thing we'd really change there is our meter size, but
Yeah.
that wouldn't really do anything for us as far as the water.
But it may cut down our overall water costs if we go to a smaller.
If our meter was small, yeah,
I don't know
possibly.
if it's worth looking into or not.
Right.
Is it the main, it's the main that's browning out?
Typically, that's where it is, where they have, you know, a repair somewhere, and so they'll cut and if it's an old steel line, they cut that old steel, everything breaks loose from the inside, and of course, whatever flushes into it from the outside, and then they make their repair, and this material flows through the system and then ends up laying somewhere, you know, like in a 90 or something, where the flow's reduced, and it'll lay there, and it'll gradually just pull itself off until it's finally gone, or it solidifies to wherever it's decided to stay.
Yeah.
So, and I'm no expert on that, but you could probably have the city come in and tell you a little more about it, but
Well, there's
just getting things
spots
flushed
all
out.
over town. I mean, it's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah, so they're doing it in my neighborhood right now, so it's kind of the same thing, so. But anyway, so I just wanted to address that in case people are asking you about brown water,
That's good to know.
that could be the source.
Okay. Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet.
Any other question or comment on courthouse renovation and annex? Okay. It is 11:54 and court is adjourned.
Sounds good, guys. I'm pretty flexible.
Well, that's good, because I'm kinda hungry.
Me too.
Do y'all hear a high pitched? Okay. Do you
You're a what?
Yeah.
hear a high pitched?